Hello everybody, my name is Dratnos, and recently when I've been streaming, one of the most common things for people to come into my chat and ask is, hey, I messed up 1 or 2 or 3 of my horrific vision runs, or, I got DC'd or whatever, am I forever behind? And the answer to this question is no. This is a common question because there was a lot of information before the actual patch came out that suggested this would be the case. It suggested we would be forever behind, but at the last minute, Blizzard announced there'd be a weekly gate on how high your cloak can be ranked. And because of this, you are no longer forever behind if you messed up one of your horrific vision runs. And in this video, I'm going to answer that and more questions about how horrific visions work. So the specific way that this catch-up mechanic works is that each week your cloak can go up by only 1 level. So the first week you could get it up to rank 6, but each following week, you'll only be able to get 1 extra level on your cloak. And most weeks, that means you'll be able to acquire more horrific vision runs than you actually need to run that week. So depending on how quick you're acquiring those horrific vision runs and how many mistakes you make, you should still be able to catch up and stay with this maximum rank of your cloak until about the week where it gets to rank 15. And I'm going to show you some math now to prove that. So let's start off by talking about where you get your runs each week, because a lot of people are like, how am I supposed to have this many runs per week? So you start off with your 3 bonus runs from the main quest line. Those don't count. We'll not include those after that first week. You get 1 run per week from your weekly assault. You get half a run, a little bit more than half a run for your bi-weekly assaults, of which there are 2 per week. And you get 2,000 coalescing visions from your first daily vision of each week. And then the remaining 6 days, you get 1,000 coalescing visions each. So all this together adds up to 2.9 runs per week just from these effects. And if you add on daily quests or farming rares or chests or whatever, then you will get to the 3, 3.5, or 4 per week levels. So this little bit here is how many coalescing visions per day do you need to farm to reach these other amounts of visions per week, of horrific visions per week. So if you farm an extra 150 coalescing visions per day, which is just 3 daily quests, then you'll reach the 3 horrific visions per week level. And if you can get up to 850 per day, you'll reach the 3.5 per week level, which is also fairly attainable. It's quite grindy to do 1,600 coalescing visions per day. That requires staying in the lesser vision for a while and like clearing the map of rares and everything. So that's a higher bar to clear that I don't think is super important. But I'm going to show you why I don't think this is necessary with this next part of my spreadsheet here. So here's the information we have about how many runs are required to upgrade your cloak for each level. For the most part, you only need 1 run to upgrade your cloak up until you start getting to cloak level 9, and then you'll start needing more than 1 run to get those requirements. That's because the quest requirements end up scaling up and you start needing to do 4, 6, 8 corrupted zones, and then 6, 12, and 18 lost zones. So for the purposes of this spreadsheet, I'm going to assume that you are able to do these, like you're able to do 2 corrupted zones in 1 run for rank 7, and they're able to do 2 lost zones per run once you get to rank 13. Even if that sounds daunting now, at this point you'll have so much more gear, and your cloak at rank 12 is very sanity resistant. So this should not be that hard to do. Reaching the, clearing 2 lost zones per run once you get your cloak up to rank 12 should be pretty doable. It's worth noting there's some RNG associated with this as well, where these runs from rank 7 to rank 11 can be sped up. Sometimes you'll get an extra page from the first lost zone that you complete in each horrific vision, but for the purposes of this spreadsheet, I'm going to assume that you never get any of those. And even then, here's what my math looks like. If you run 3 horrific visions per week, you can stay at that cloak cap until the 10th week. At the 10th week, you will take 1 week off and stay at rank 14 for 1 week before reaching rank 15, okay? If you go up to 3.5 per week, you also you'll be half a run off of rank 15, so a little bit more grinding that week, and you can get to rank 15 that week. And if you do 4 runs per week, the only real benefit you get here is you get rank 15 1 week early. So a lot of people I see grinding coalescing visions, I don't think that that's a great use of your time, because these are pretty much the same here. This is a lot of extra grinding to go from 3 runs per week to 4 runs per week, and the net effect is that in 10 weeks, you'll get a rank 15 cloak 1 week sooner. So this is kind of the math here that supports my stance of don't grind coalescing visions, grind artifact power, grind rep if you want something to grind. and sometimes Coalescing Visions will be a side effect of that, and you'll reach the 3.5 per week level. But the only time when I think it really starts to make sense to grind Coalescing Visions is as we start approaching these later times, when you'll be able to use them to maybe get past this 1 week of staying at rank 14. So what am I saying with these banked numbers here? Basically, you can keep up to 25,000 Coalescing Visions in your inventory, plus 5 Vessels of Horrific Visions in your bag. So that adds up to 7.5 total runs that you can save and carry over week to week, which you should do because some of these later weeks take more than you learn in a week, right? Rank 15 takes 9 runs, so it's great that the reason that the 4 per week plan gets rank 15 done so fast is that it's able to enter those weeks with a bunch of runs banked up. So what the main takeaway from this, that I think, is that a way more important thing than grinding Coalescing Visions is saving up your runs once you are at your cloak cap and not doing extra runs until they are upgrading your cloak, unless you are capped. If you're capped, you should do a run to make sure that you don't overcap, because then you'll get extra mementos and upgrade your tech tree further and have some more fun. And get some more gear. So let's talk about gear in Horrific Visions. This is from a different Wowhead article here. This was confirmed in a blue post after a bunch of people were curious as to why they weren't always getting gear at the end of a Horrific Vision. You do not always receive gear at the end of a Horrific Vision. You will receive gear once per week per tier of gear that you would receive. So if you just kill Thrall or Illyria, you'll get a 420 piece. Then, later on in the week, if you can do that and 2 side areas, 430. All the way up to a full clear with 5 masks for 470. And these masks are something we can talk about more later, but basically they're hard modes that you unlock after you first full clear. So when you full clear for the first time, you'll get access to 1 mask, and then when you full clear with that, you'll start getting access to more masks, and that's how you can start really getting some nice item levels out of Horrific Visions. But the way it works is you'll only get gear if you're only doing like 2 or 3 side areas per go. You'll only get gear from 1 or 2 Horrific Visions per week. You'll earn gear from, basically the way it works is it'll check to see if it's given you the, so if you're eligible for the 445 reward, it'll check to see if it's given you the 445 reward already this week. And if it has, then it'll check to see if it can give you a 430, and then it'll check to see if it can give you a 420. And if you've already received all 3 of those rewards for the week, you'll just not get any item out of the Horrific Vision. So there's an incentive to push down here to these higher item level rewards if you can. But the main takeaway is just that you shouldn't expect this to be a huge source of gear the first week. When you're doing 6 Horrific Visions in the first week, you probably are only going to get 2 items from those 6 runs. But in the future weeks, when you're only doing 2 or 3 runs per week, you'll probably get loot from both of those. So the amount of loot per run is going to kind of scale up as we go on in the patch. Anyways, that's the gear rewards from this. Let me cover the question of mistakes and being forever behind. So I've made a version of this chart now that shows what happens. This is, again, just 3 runs per week, so basically no grinding, no extra Horrific Vision or Coalescing Vision farming. And this is assuming you get never lucky and you never get these RNG Lost Zone pages between ranks 7 and 12, which can speed you up along the way. So even with those like worst case scenarios, you'll see here that 1 mistake or even 3 mistakes will take you off of your being on cap for these first 1 or 2 weeks. But by Mythic Week, you're caught up. And you're caught up until week 9, when you will spend 1 extra week here on rank 14. So it's really not forever behind. It's 1 week of it's like a couple weeks where you're a little bit behind at the start, and a couple weeks where you're a little bit behind getting to rank 15, and then the rest of the time, which conveniently for most hardcore players is going to encompass their mythic progression, you're at the same level of cloak as everybody else. So really your fears here should be hopefully somewhat averted. I've seen a lot of people spending multiple hours per day just farming as many Coalescing Visions as they can because they've committed this 1 mistake, and they really want to be rank 6 this week 1. And you see it really goes away. The problem really goes away very quickly. Doing a little bit of grinding, getting your average up from 3 per week to 3.5 per week or 4 per week. Like, yes, that will have a benefit of pushing the rank 15 date up by a week or 2. But that's really the only thing you're playing for by doing that. So you don't need it to stay current for these early weeks of mythic progression. Anyways, I hope this video has helped explain to you a little bit more about Horrific Vision, about how Horrific Visions work, how their progression works. If it did, remember to like and subscribe. Check out my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/Dratnos. And if you're interested in seeing this spreadsheet and more information presented in spreadsheet form. I'll have a link in the description to this video, which will be updated as we learn more, so potentially this information over here, as we learn more about exactly how these later ranks work, it will stay updated, so maybe go check that before 100% relying on these numbers. Anyways, that spreadsheet link will be in the description of this video. Thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you in the next one.